On today's episode of WatchJRGo, we are back with my Tesla Model X that I said I was selling in the last video, and Tesla made a liar out of me. What is going on, guys? I am WatchJRGo, and today we are here with my Model X, like I said, and it's sold. Yep, just like I said, I made a deal with a subscriber and he was like, I'll tell you what, I'll come pick this car up, but I need you to run a battery test on it. And I was like, sure. So it took me a little bit of time to get this thing to where I could run the battery test, to do the big, deep battery test, not the one in the app where it just says the battery's good right now. It just shows like a green bar. It needs you to get the battery down under 50%, and then you go into the service mode, you start this whole battery test thing, you put it on the charger overnight, and when you come back in the morning, apparently, I haven't done it yet, but it reports back what the battery status is, like an actual percentage of the battery health that's left. Now, I think it's great based on, the range and how the car works right now, but I was like, sure, I'll do that. The problem was, I didn't have time to run it dead. It was 100% full, and I needed to get it down under 50%, which is actually a lot of driving. It's like 2 days of driving this thing around, running errands, just so I can run the battery dead. I needed to go, 80 miles or something like that. And, like I've said before, 40 miles of range is about right for most people because that's what you drive around town running errands in a day. So anyway, I put some miles on it. I got it down just under 50%. And I got it back to the shop and I turned it on that morning to run the battery test, and a new error popped up on the dash. So let's hop inside right now and take a look at that error. We might have more than one error today because there was another one earlier. All right, hopping inside the Model X. It's been charging, so it's nice and turned on. We've got unable to charge, which is a lie. It does that in my shop. You can see it's charging, but this is the error that matters. Battery fuse requires replacement soon. And then this is a shop problem, not a car problem. It's actually supposed to be charging at 50 amps and it had to derate. The car does that automatically. It's really, really cool. But the reason is the voltage drop. And I mean, we'll talk about that in a minute. Battery fuse requires replacement soon. So there is a fuse on the battery and it doesn't go bad or anything like that. The fuse is fine. There are multiple versions of this fuse. There are multiple different batteries, and we're gonna talk kind of for just a moment about all of them. Rich was gonna make a video about this, talking about how it's pretty anti-consumer of them, but at this point, I'm happy with where it's at, and it's all going to be resolved, and the car should get sold later this week after it gets fixed. But the battery fuse. So, on these early cars, there was a fuse with a battery for the fuse. Don't get them conflated here. There's the high voltage battery that runs the car, the drive battery. There's the low voltage battery in the front, and then there's another low voltage battery that is attached to the fuse. It's a module. And if everything on the car breaks, say there's a major accident, that fuse explodes itself to cut all the power to the car systems, right? The contactor couldn't open or something like that, fuse blows itself. Apparently it has like 2 or 3 or 4 little lithium cells attached to it, just the normal little vape batteries, that's what these things run on. It's got 2 or 3 or 4 of those on there, they're soldered on, and you can actually fix it all yourself, but if the battery in the fuse dies, it pops up that message on screen. But that's not true. It's actually a lie. I did learn this from talking to a couple different Tesla people and of course Electrified Garage, because they were gonna send me a fuse and I was gonna swap it myself. But the battery fuse replacement warning on the screen is a timer. Let that sink in. There you go, that's the Elon quote of the day. This timer runs out and it's like, hey, these batteries in the fuse might be bad, so we might as well make them replace it. That's what goes down. And the timer ran out on this one and now it has to be replaced. Now this car is under warranty. It's not under the full warranty, but it is under the battery warranty and the drivetrain warranties. And Tesla said they're gonna take care of it. So we're gonna hop in the car here in a few, take it to Tesla and have them fix it. And it better be free and it better be done at the same time, because I am 3 hours plus from every Tesla dealership and I gotta drive there. And if I have to leave the car, that's not a good deal. That'll mean I have to Uber to another car that's a Turo, and then take the Turo car home, and then, you know, drive the Turo car all the way back to Oklahoma City, and then Uber back to the dealership to pick up my Tesla. You can see how that would be disastrous. That's just a problem with living somewhere where there's no service, and of course there's really no chargers here too. Back to the fuse, you guys can see the error right there. Here's that one's a lie, that one's kind of true, and that one is the problem, and we need to lift the suspension up. I went ahead and raised the suspension all the way up so we can see what's going on under the car. Underneath the Model X, you can see the battery pack label there, 90 kilowatts. This is a Gen 2 pack. So apparently the Gen 1 packs, you have to drop the entire battery to change the fuse. But on the Gen 2s, you just pull those 5 screws right there, and that's all you gotta do. The fuse just slides right down. So it's actually not a big deal to repair, but they do want it done at a dealership, even though you can fix this at home by yourself. Honestly, you probably do want to let Tesla do this, especially if it's under warranty. Definitely let them do it. But you pull the safety loop, shut the car down, get everything de-energized, yank the fuse out. It's probably got some more bolts inside under that cover holding it on, and then swap it in for another one. So, Gen 1 pack, you gotta drop the whole pack. Gen 2 pack, you get the door so you can change the fuse. And then of course, the last thing, the fuse types. That's what we need to talk about. So there's the old fuse that this car has, and that's the one with the onboard batteries that can blow itself. And then apparently there's a new version of the fuse that's just the pyro fuse, and maybe when it loses power, when it somehow it can be triggered. I don't get it, because I actually do understand powering the fuse itself. It kind of makes sense. Like Bentleys kind of have the same system where they blow like basically a giant master fuse if you get in an accident. Well, it's not uncommon. It's not something crazy that they came up with. It does make sense, but the new version of the fuse does not have onboard batteries and doesn't fail. So hopefully they're upgrading this one to that fuse. I think they usually always retrofit it with that, but I think it also depends on stock on hand, so they might put the battery fuse back in it. It's good for like 5, 6, 7 years, something like that. I don't know what the timer is, but it's years and years and years and years, and it's also not crazy expensive. The problem is, when there's no dealership anywhere around and they won't change it out with their mobile mechanics, it's a big deal. Let's talk about the other 2 fun messages on the screen there. Unable to charge, it's absolutely a lie. I don't even know why it says that. It's charging right now. It was at like 10 miles when I plugged it in here originally, so it does just fine. It's just very slow. It says poor grid power quality possible. I've been doing a bunch of testing here to figure out what's going on with that. And it's kind of true. When this shop is completely unloaded, we get about 242 volts at the panel. And when I plug the car in, it drops down to like 236 or something like that, like it's doing right now. It's at 235. So that is a gigantic voltage drop. And it also, the car knows it's smart enough to keep derating itself. So it's plugged into a 50 amp outlet. It should be able to pull 50 amps. It's got a 50 amp breaker on it, but it just assumes that it would be too dangerous to keep pulling all that current, and it turns itself all the way down. So now it's charging at 23 amps out of 30 amps. It's set to 30 amps, pulling 23 right now. And when the air conditioners are on, or at least the one, when it's going full blast, the voltage in here drops to 229 and the car derates even further. It's pretty smart, I gotta give it to it, and I'm sure that helps alleviate the voltage drop as it does that and takes care of everything else. But the problem is actually the service to my house, because we checked the box in here and we see the same thing, right? We see like 229 when the circuit's completely loaded. At the house though, it's only 3 volts higher. So we're only getting 3 volts of drop across the line from panel to panel. So it's not our feeder wire between the panels there, it's the actual service to the house. And the wire coming into my house is like this big, guys. It's an aerial service and it is terrible. So we're gonna have the power company replace the entire service. I think we have to. I don't think we really have an option, especially if you're feeding a car charger from a sub panel. People don't really love that idea. It's what I'm gonna do because it would be crazy to run a whole nother run up to the house. So I'm just gonna deal with the derate. I don't really care if it takes an extra 2 hours to charge the car. Anyway, that's what's going on with those 2 dumb little messages on the dash. If your Tesla says unable to charge, it might be lying to you. It's probably charging. All right. Well, let's hop in this thing here in a few. Take it to Tesla, and hopefully they can get this fixed in a single day, and we can say goodbye to it. Look at those wires just sitting there waiting for the big Tesla charger, and that one, I think, won't derate because it will know that it's on a 50 amp circuit, and this one works with whatever it gets. So I'm definitely hoping once we put the big charger over there on the wall, because it charges every car too, not just Teslas. It also has bi-die charging, so if the power goes out, it can backfeed everything. It's so sick. I can just shut the main off and a Tesla can power the shop. Anyway, that's what's going on. My other charger will be here later this week, and hopefully I can try it out just one time before this car goes away. Working on the Tesla isn't the only thing we're doing today. I've got a lot of stuff going on over here. You guys remember when we poured this concrete, we had the downspouts running all the way out across it because we wanted to keep the water off the concrete while it was drying. Now, and also because literally the turnouts were right here. I don't know why, but they were. I fixed that today. I had to become a guttering mechanic. And I grabbed some more pieces of 4-inch, cut them down, move the gutters down where they belong, and I'm gonna get the scissor lift out here in a minute, clean the gutters out, and fix the guttering where that tree fell like 20 videos ago. A tree crushed the end of it, so I gotta bend all that back into place. Might as well clean the gutters out because it's nice and easy to do on the scissor lift. And gutters are definitely one of the smallest things that's going on around here today. The foundation repair guys have showed up. They're cutting the concrete out, getting ready to put in their giant piling system here. They hand dug these giant pits, guys. Wow. The concrete stem wall for my porch goes down 4 feet right there. That makes me happy. That makes me happy. It's got a real footing under it. I didn't know. Whew. Hand dug all these pits. Why? Why would you not show up with a dingo? I guess it's probably more efficient to just show up with a bunch of guys and get the thing done. And they're doing exactly that because they have not been here that long. I guess they've been here maybe 2 or 3 hours and they're basically done with all their pits and ready to start putting their pilings in. Piers, whatever we're calling them. I just finished up cleaning up a bunch of the yard. The corrugated metal's got to get out of the way because I got to rip all this concrete out of here. Maybe tomorrow or the next day. They did tell me they're gonna wait like months to do the curtain grout unless it's nice outside. I'm hoping it's gonna be nice outside. So if I get this done, I'm ready for them no matter what happens. I got some of the wood out of the yard, cleaned that up. And for the gross part, I just replaced the flapper on this old toilet that had been running for, well, since I bought the house, so forever. If you guys wanna hear something crazy, that toilet that sits in there and runs uses 170 gallons per day exactly. Look at that. 170 gallons, 626 this month. I don't care. I actually didn't even want to fix it because I have a base rate that requires you use 3,000 or something like that, or 30,000. It's huge. You have to use a ton here before they even start billing you. So I wasn't worried about fixing it, but I would like the fin to run its plumbing check and stop sending me texts because it's always been leaking. At least you know the fin's working. It tells me the toilet's broken every day. Well, it was a crazy early morning. I had to be on the road by 7 a.m. to drive the 3 hours over here to Oklahoma City, where I'm at the Tesla dealership, as you can see. And it was a quick, painless experience. My appointment was actually at 11 and I had to give myself all that extra time in case this thing needed to charge maybe twice, or maybe it needed a second full charge, which it basically did. I fully charged it in Perry, Oklahoma, and now we're at about 43%, which I don't think is enough to get me back to Perry, Oklahoma. So we're gonna have to drive around Oklahoma City, find another supercharger, charge up again in Perry, and we'll be back home. There's no message on the dash. Take a look at that. No more replace battery fuse. And they upgraded me to the new non-battery fuse, or replace fuse battery. Battery fuse replacement required soon. Whatever the message was, it's gone, and the new fuse shouldn't have a battery on it. So, big upgrade. Also, the service was great. My appointment was at 11. It is currently 10:49 a.m. Now I got here at like 9:30, but they had this thing fixed in an hour. They said it was gonna take like 2.5 hours. It was in and out just like that. This is the easiest one to change the fuse on. As you guys saw, just pull those 5 bolts, pull out the fuse, slap in a new one, and then reset it. But super happy with the service. I just wish we had a Tesla service center in Wichita that would solve all of my problems. At that point, it wouldn't have even been a complaint. It would have just been run across town and drop it off and leave it with them. When service is 3 hours away, it's a big deal. And you know, these are things you expect if you're driving like a Lamborghini or a Ferrari. Like, service is typically 3 hours away, unless you're in like Scottsdale, Denver, Dallas, New York City, stuff like that. Anywhere in the Midwest, you're not getting service for those cars, and you expect it going in, and you also paid so much money that you expect service to be a pretty terrible thing for you to go through. With a Tesla that's really just a daily driver, you don't have that expectation. You want easy service at a local dealer, and whenever they get that solved around the country, it'll be perfect. So, time to go find another charger and get this thing back home. And just like that, I'm back home with the Model X. Like I said, service not that painful, and the drive also not that painful. Ended up taking, you know, a full day, 6 hours of driving, 2 hours at Tesla total, another hour charging back up in Oklahoma City, and then another hour charging again in Perry to make sure I could get home. So what, we're at 3 hours of charging today and 6 hours of driving. And people keep saying I'm lying when I say that's what has to be done to make these trips, but it's the Midwest. That's just how it has to be done. And the whole point of this video, Tesla made me a liar. I said, these things don't break, and it broke the next day. But it wasn't that much of a break. It was just a simple warning message on the dash saying the fuse has to be replaced. And now that it's been replaced, we're good to go. So I'm gonna run my battery test. And I guess after that, it's the end of my ownership with the Model X. Great car, love it to death. But we've got different cars we gotta go buy. That is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to head on over to shop.watchjrgo.com for cool shirts not like this. And please like, share, subscribe, do whatever you wanna do, and I will talk to you next time. All right, Gabe, what do you think about the Model X? Your full review. That was your full. All right, it's pretty dope. I was like, you were just saying you actually liked it.
Yeah, no, well that was all off camera.
He likes everything but the self-driving.
I'm not a big self-driver. But yeah, I'm actually really impressed with it. It's making noises.
Yeah, probably the air suspension, doing air things.
Air things, there we go.